This is a Stock Trading Reality Podcast, episode 94. Get organized with your personal finances, and odds are, I'm willing to bet that you're going to have some money left over. And guess what you can do with that leftover money? You can put it into your trading account. You can start to build up a trading account.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host, who would highly recommend giving a standing desk a try. He's a believer, Clay Trader.
That's right. We are all about health and ergonomics here, and a standing desk I'd say I've been using for probably a year now, maybe not quite. But it's done a thing of wonders for me. So yes, I am a full believer, and it's, back aches all the time. I'd lay down to go to bed and, my back. And since the standing desk, I'm not going to say that it's like some sort of miracle cure, but I will say that I felt a lot better. And our esteemed co-host here, Chezz, I know he's been using a standing desk longer than I have. And he was one of the, the final factors that kind of pushed me over the edge on whether or not it was really worth trying. So Chezz, not to, spoil your party here, but you're a firm believer in standing desks too, right?
Absolutely, and I did it about as budget as you could do it. I literally went to Home Depot, bought some cinder blocks, and stacked my desk on it to see if it was worth the $20. And then from there, I kind of bought some actual legs that function as a real standing desk. But yeah, just as absolute wonders for your back. I mean, the body isn't meant to kind of sit at a desk and just stare at screens for 8 to 10 hours a day. Yeah,
and it's I have to eventually sit down. I mean, I like to stand for the mass portion of the day, but then when I do, the video chart analysis that I do every day, I sit down for those. But yeah, for the vast majority of the day, I'm standing. Do you have a standing mat or no?
Yeah, so I tried to do it with just the carpet alone, and at some point, kind of the balls of my feet would start to hurt. So I did get one off of Amazon for, I don't think it was that big of a price at all, and that actually made all the difference in the world. Yeah, and for you listeners out there, we'll put some links down in the show notes about the standing desk that I have and these standing mats, because at first I'm like, standing mat? That seems kind of weak, but I don't know. About several days after standing on my feet, yeah, it's amazing. Like, oh man, my feet started to hurt and just weird issues all over the place. But as soon as I got a standing mat, like Chezz said, not very expensive at all, it did quite a bit of wonders. So we'll put those links into the show notes if you're interested, and you can go and check those things out. But today we're going to mix things up a little bit. And we've talked about this many times before, more so in passing, just as it's come up amongst, the normal interviews. But it really is something that's critically important for you as traders. And not even, maybe you're thinking about the markets, so you're listening to this, but even if you never actually get into the markets, the stuff that we're going to talk about today applies, just to life in general, and that is personal finances. And, the full credit here goes to Chezz. We were talking a few weeks ago, and he thought, hey, maybe we could just do a podcast where you and I just talk about, personal finance, more so budgets and stuff, because, that really is an important attribute for trading. And, we can kind of just talk about some of the key points and the benefits of it. So that's what we're going to do here. No guest, but we're going to talk about kind of how to take control of not only really your trading, but really taking control of your life, because finances, unless you're just totally oblivious, play a massive role in your life, and you need to be able to manage your finance. And I will say this, and Chezz, you can feel free to disagree with me, but if you can't manage your finances, if you can't manage your own personal kind of life in terms of money, then you have no business at all getting involved in trading. Because if you can't manage, if you're just running around like you're a chicken with your head cut off with your personal finances, then when it comes to your trading, you're going to stand no chance at all. Would you agree there's a pretty similar correlation there, Chezz, or am I off am I off the reservation here? You're typically off the reservation, but no, I actually completely agree with you. And I think it wasn't apparent to me for quite a long time, because a lot of people, including myself, the reason I actually found trading was to look for a way to supplement my income. And I was like, oh, I'll just add money on top of my income every month, and then I can live this lavish lifestyle. And that's really not the case. What I found is the more I reduce my kind of spending, the more I reduce my overhead. All of these things give me more comfort in the sense of, I think it actually just reduces the pressure that's on you to kind of perform. And that, especially if you're a new trader, it's absolutely imperative.
Yeah, it's a situation where you need to have a grasp on everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything in your personal finances. Because if you try to transition to trading where you definitely need to have a grasp on everything, there's really very little room for error, then it's just not going to ever work out. So, but at the end of the day, I like to talk about personal finance. I like to talk about building wealth. I like to talk about all that stuff anyways. And this just kind of gives an excuse for that. So whether or not you ever get into trading, if we can inspire, if we can kind of motivate you to maybe take some of this stuff a little bit more seriously and apply some of it to your life, then this is it'll be a podcast well done, and it'll be a podcast that I'm going to feel very good about, because this stuff is super practical, and it's a tool, it's a lifestyle, it's a routine that the sooner you can get it, the better it is for the long run, especially for you younger people out there. When you can manage your personal finance, then eventually you can start to invest. And the way the math works out with investing and compounding interest, the sooner you can start to invest, just the better off you're going to be, later down in life. So I mentioned, I love to talk about building wealth and all that. So I just want to kind of first set up the context here about the wealth that I'm, talking about. And wealth for me, and Chezz, again, you can chime in, but, wealth, I'm not defining as, hey, I drive around a Lamborghini, or hey, I own, 4 vacation homes. I'm not talking about it in terms of, hey, check out my clothes. These are like the most expensive clothes out there. And, I'm wearing these clothes as I pick up, my brand new piece of technology, my 80-inch TV that costs, some insane amount. I'm not talking about wealth in that sense. I'm not defining wealth as, hey, having a ton of money where you can go out and do whatever you want. To me, and I'm just going to speak for you here, Chezz, because we've had this conversation before, but wealth is all about the ability to sleep. And when I say the ability to sleep, what I'm getting at there is, if you can just lay in bed at night and just have no worries, then that's a beautiful thing. Meaning, compare no worries rather than laying in bed and saying, oh crap, can I really afford that? Or should I really have put that on my credit card? Maybe, oh man, I got a bunch of debts. What debt should I pay off first? How long is this going to take me? I made the purchase. Now, how long is it? I mean, many different questions about the numbers. And, to me, the best sleeping pill out there, the best stress reliever, is just having all your numbers in order, because, hey, when you have your numbers in order, it offers you a lot of flexibility and peace of mind. And I mean, Chezz, I know you're into all this stuff too. Have you found that too, when you know where your numbers are, it's starting to give you wealth? So sure, maybe you're not driving around in your Apache helicopter quite yet, but I mean, there's a lot of peace of mind that goes into it.
Hang on, I just had to put the top up on my Lamborghini so you could hear me correctly. But yeah, it's as simple as that. I mean, when I first actually left my stable job to start trading to supplement my income before I got a part-time job after that, it is literally exactly like you said, the ability to kind of go to bed at night and know that your numbers are in order. And we're not, by all means, would I love to go to Italy 8 times a year and do whatever else, and that's totally possible in the future. But right now, it's all about family first, myself second, and with these bills in order, I talk to a lot of people on the customer service side, and like you said, they think wealth is that I'm going to trade on a beach on my iPad Pro for the rest of my life and just travel the world and do all that stuff. You could totally do that, sure, but to me, if I have absolutely no debts outstanding, if I'm literally just hoarding my cash and capital, just building up this great nest egg and, moving, further in my life, essentially as an adult, that's the best freedom I think that, anyone could be offered. And some of you might say, well, you have, really modest goals or something if you just want to be comfortable in life, you're not trying to excel. I'm excelling every day and I'm kind of moving forward, but that peace of mind sleeping at night, I can't even tell you. I'm pretty sure I drove myself to baldness when I worked at my old job, because it was to the point where I was living paycheck to paycheck, and I hate that feeling of stress, and I think it's just unfortunately that so many people kind of live in that world. And there's a lot of small things, and we're going to touch on a lot of them today in the podcast. Little things you can do, routines in your life, little things that you can change. And I'm talking about as simple as, when I had that job, I would stop and get coffee every morning. And I can see Clay over there shaking his fist at me, thinking that I'm absolutely nuts buying coffee. But these are little things I didn't think of, and no one really talked about it when I was kind of growing up or in college. Now, my dad is a very tight, very tight with his wallet. He never wastes money on anything, does all the work on his car himself, stuff like that. And, I never understood it until I kind of got older and was unfortunately pushed in the position of living paycheck to paycheck.
And that's actually, you bring up a very interesting, because I can see that argument being thrown against, wait, that's how you define wealth, is just the ability to sleep at night? What kind of ambition is that? That's no ambition. I assure you, I have encountered many people that you would look at them and say, wow, that's a great car. Wow, that's a great, and you just start to list off all these wealth things. But they are just miserable. They are miserable because they're always, they have nothing in order. Yeah, they make a lot of money, but as fast as the money's coming in, it's going out, and they're always living right on that fine line of, thin ice. I mean, all it takes is one wrong move, one wrong deal or something, and that
thin ice is a great way to put it.
Yeah, and down through the ice they go. And I assure you, peace of mind. I mean, who wants stress in their life? Nobody wants stress. That would be at the low of the totem pole of anybody. I mean, and when you have everything in order, then you're not going to have stress, and you can just lay there with confidence. And confidence, as we've talked about a ton in regards to trading, is super important. Well, confidence in just our personal lives is also something that is, very much needed, because when you have confidence, then you have confidence in what? You have confidence in something. And in the case that we're talking about today, in a plan for your finances. And when there's a plan in place, a plan's going to give you confidence, and confidence kicks stress to the curb, because why do I need to be stressed? I already got a plan in place and I'm confident about it. So the key here, though, with all of, just personal finance, and this is, right at the base of everything, is that you need to create routines and habits for yourself. So if you're able to write that down, definitely write that down. If you want to start building wealth, and again, yes, wealth, peace of mind. But the nice thing is, when you're happy, when you have peace of mind, like Chezz said, you're hoarding cash this whole time. So on peace of mind, I'm laying in bed, and then all of a sudden you wake up, holy crap, that's a lot of cash just sitting there. I mean, I haven't been stressed out. I've been going to bed, but man, time's gone by a little bit and I have all this stress. Let's go to Italy. And wealth monetarily is going to follow, but the first wealth you want to get is, the peace of mind wealth. But in order to get any sort of wealth, it's all about the creation of routines and habits. And Bill Bradley, I'm not really sure who he is, but I found this quote when I was like it. And, he says that ambition is the path to success. Persistence is the vehicle you arrive in. So sure, you want to have ambition. Sure, you want to have some sort of goal. You want to be successful. We're defining successful as, hey, mapping out your personal finances so that you can grow your finances. That's the goal. But, same with trading. Well, I want to make a bunch of money trading. I want to do this with trading. Well, yeah, it's nice to say that, but persistence is the vehicle you arrive in. Second part of that quote. Persistence, routines, habits. That's how you're actually going to get there. The things you have to actually do. And persistence is the doing thing. Ambition is just kind of theoretical. Persistence is definitely, what you need to do. And as you do it, things get easier and easier. And because they're routines, pretty soon it's like, biting your nails. You're doing these things without even thinking about it. And, to Chezz's Italy vacation point, before you know it, oh, wow, I got enough, money where I can go to Italy. And the sooner you start, I touch on this, it truly, in my opinion, and numbers don't lie, there's plenty of numbers out there. Just run a Google search on compounding interest. But the sooner you start with managing your finances, the sooner you're going to be able to start to do investments. And the sooner you start doing stuff like that, it's not a matter of if you become wealthy, it's how much are you, how big is your wealth going to become? And that's just all mathematical stuff here. Now, Chezz, I'm gonna send you a quiz here, okay?
Okay.
Are you ready for this quiz?
Is it graded?
Yeah, it's pass or fail. Pass or fail.
Okay. Oh, great. Even better. It's no pressure.
It's go big or go home. And because I want to just, maybe you're listening, you're thinking, personal finance. Well, that's what financial advisors are for. That's what investment advisors are for. That's what. No. Personal finance, you do not need somebody else to do it for you. The math is as simple as it gets, and it just takes some common sense. So I'm going to quiz Chezz, like I said, but I'm going to quiz you as the listener too. And you let me know what the answer to this is. and just kind of what your thoughts on this whole little, it's a story problem. Remember back from like third grade when you have story problems? So here we go. Billy Bob has an apple tree, and this apple tree grows 10 apples per week. And Billy Bob says, you know what, Sally Sue, I'm going to give you 15 apples at the end of this week. So how many apples does Billy Bob have after giving Sally Sue the apples he promised? Chezz. His apple tree, he's getting 10 apples per week, but he promises Sally Sue 15 apples per week. So at the end of the week, where's Billy Bob sitting?
Billy Bob got a margin call from the tree broker because he's -5 per week.
There we go. For you as listeners, did you understand that math? Did you understand that, wait a second, Billy Bob's an idiot. He only has 10, yet he's promising out 15? If you understand that math, hey, no excuses. You can do personal finance. There is no rocket science here, okay? There is no calculus. It's not like you have to pull out and start to do like sine and cosine and tangents and none of that stuff. It's addition, subtraction, some multiplication, and some division. And at the end of the day, just I'm going to ask you and you answer it. Can you use the internet? Can you use a calculator? Can you use that little phone that everybody, or the little thing that everybody carries around, your phone? If you can use those three things, then you can do personal finance. There is no excuse. There's nothing at all that you can tell me of, well, I haven't been keeping track of my finances. I kind of just live on a whim. I live paycheck to paycheck. The math is very easy. Am I, Chezz, again, back me up because I'm just one person, but am I, as somebody that's, fully believes in this stuff and, all that, the math is not complicated, right?
It is literally as simple as what is coming in versus what is going out, and that is just simple addition and subtraction. I mean, it really doesn't get any easier than that. And not to kind of derail this at all, but, like you said, there's a lot of people who say, well, I have a financial planner for that. So here's the thing. And I say this on almost every podcast. The only person who has your best interest in mind, especially when it comes to money, is always going to be yourself. And it really is not any rocket science. And like you said, no cosine, tangents, and any kind of stuff you need to kind of, plot out on a TI-83 calculator.
Yeah, the good old TI-83. Yeah, exactly. So I'm moving on with confidence here. No more excuses of, well, the math is no, the math is fine. Now for the pillar, just the foundation of all wealth building, I don't care if you're going to pursue wealth building through the stock market, through the real estate market, through the commodities market, through building a business yourself. It doesn't matter what avenue you take. You can do all of those if you want. The pillar, the foundation, the cornerstone of wealth building is called the budget. And what I want you to do is visualize the game Jenga. Jenga, you're pulling blocks. And then, sometimes there's just like one or two little blocks down at the very bottom. And picture those blocks as your budget. Meaning, all right, well, I want to build wealth, but I'm just going to remove the budget. What does that do to your whole wealth building plan, which is the tower itself? The whole tower is going to crumble because you've removed that key piece. There is no wealth building without a budget. And I'm sure most people have heard of a budget, but they have no idea what a budget really even is. Maybe they think of like, oh, that's something my grandma does. Oh, budget, that's for old people. Well, then if budgets are for old people, then I must be like 90 years old because I love budgets. So what exactly is a budget? And this is my definition of it. And just so everybody's aware, what I'm doing right now is kind of going through a portion of the Cash Flow Creation Guide, which is a $29 course that I offer. So if you're enjoying, what I'm talking about and kind of all this, then yeah, check out the course. Like I said, $29. But some of this will sound familiar because, like I said, I'm just kind of using that as my guide point. So I am going through a flow of the presentation. But my definition of a budget and what I define a budget as, within, again, the Cash Flow Creation Guide is, it's an organized strategy to understand how much money you make, how much money you spend, and how much money you have. So 3 key words there that a budget is going to help you with: make, spend, and have. And all of those things lead to a whole big opportunity. Now, for this, we're not going to get into all the little nitty-gritty details. I just want to try to persuade. I want Chezz to help me persuade you as a listener, if you're not using a budget, on why you should be using a budget. I mean, basic psychology. What's in it for me? I mean, we want to know what's in it for me. So that's what Chezz and I are going to do. How are you going to benefit from using a budget? And there is no sales pitch here. Like I said, okay, if you want, you can buy the $29 course, but even if you don't, that's fine too. It's $29. The key here is why, how, what, who, what, where, when, all those. Budget. How's it going to help you out? And the big thing here is that you become a boss, meaning you become the CEO of your finances. A lot of people, and I definitely want Chezz to come into this because I'm curious, your kind of viewpoint on things. But I remember hearing the word CEO and thinking, oh, wow, yeah, CEO, that's like a Fortune 500 company. I mean, there's only CEOs. That's like the top of the pyramid. That is the cream of the crop. But in all actuality, you as a listener, me talking, Chezz, we are all CEOs. What are we CEOs of? Our own personal life, maybe our own family. I mean, Chezz, did you ever kind of just think when you heard CEO, oh, that has nothing to do with me, but now when you stop and think about it where you are, I mean, that's truly what it is, right? Personal finance, you got to learn how to become a CEO.
And I mean, CEO is the equivalent of, king of the castle. And that's, I mean, you couldn't have put it any better. It's that you're exactly right. When I thought CEO, I thought, I'm going to manage 100,000 people and doing this and doing that. And it could be further from the truth, especially when it comes to kind of managing your own finances or your household's finances.
Yeah, and when you're the CEO, which you better start to get in that mindset right now listening to this, understand what that means. CEOs make the decisions. On top of that, you're going to know what decision to make. Cough, cough, budget. That's how a budget helps. It's easy to say, yeah, you get to make them as decisions, but you're like, well, crap, I don't know what decisions to make. Then there again, there's where the budget, the budget is going to help you tell you what sort of budgets to make. And it's just the stress shield. As a CEO, it can be stressful, but again, the budget is going to help block against that stress because it goes back to what we talked about, having confidence in a plan. The other thing it's going to really help you do is going to keep you focused. A budget is not going to let you start to kind of gaze off into other things. It's going to help you stay on the path to meet your goals. Now, the great thing is, by default, it sounds like this Italy vacation is just kind of taken. If you want to go to Italy on a vacation, that's awesome. That's great. If you want to go to Italy and your choice as a CEO is, well, I'm going to put this on a credit card with 22% interest. That's not good. But if you're saying, I want to go to Italy, so how can I afford the trip to Italy? Well, now you have a plan, right? You have some sort of goal. And that's where the budget comes into play because you can make those decisions with confidence. You can sit there and say, all right, because I know the budget, I know that I want to get to point B. In our example, point B, I want to go to Italy on a vacation. But hey, all right, that's how I'm going to get there. That's how long it's going to take. And there is a lot of benefit into that. And you're not going to be laying in bed thinking, oh crap, I just put this Italy vacation on my credit card. And that's just not... Who wants to be freaking out about stuff like that? And that leads to the next thing. You're not going to be wondering. And I mean, Chezz, I want you to comment on this, but wondering is kind of the worst thing ever. I mean, even in trading, like if you're wondering, should I really have done that? And then you translate into personal finances, can I really afford that? I mean, nobody wants wondering. And wondering's like the worst thing ever, right, Chezz?
Yeah, and that's a function of, most people listening, are probably thinking of things. We've all had this situation called buyer's remorse. To be honest with you, once your kind of budget, once your income's involved, once you learn not to make impulse purchases and just, acting out of your pure emotion, things I purchase with confidence because I've done my research. I know that I can afford it, and I don't want to. I'm very good at spinning things the other way, but unfortunately, our country is just so riddled with the amount of credit people are allowed, and by no means credit can totally be used for good things and for a lot of different stuff if you use it correctly. But buying things you can't afford and then wondering how to pay for it—that's just an absolutely terrifying feeling.
Exactly, and. The phrase, I don't know, let's just put that into trading right now and apply a situation where, I don't know is actually a good thing. I can think of one situation. If you're sitting there saying, well, I don't know how much I'm going to make right now because my stop loss is in the green and now I'm just letting, that's fine. But in any other situation in trading, if you're sitting there saying, I don't know, that's not a very good feeling from an emotional perspective. Same with finances. If you're any sort of decision you're making with finances and you're saying, I don't know, that's not good. And not only is that not good, that's a great way to bring stress upon yourself when you're laying in bed saying, I don't know if I should have done that. I don't know if I can afford that. I don't know how long this is going to take me to pay off. That's terrible. But again, going back to the budget, when you know your numbers, when all your numbers are, doing what they're supposed to be doing, you know what they're doing, then you're not going to sit there and say, I don't know, because, well, you know. That's the whole point of a budget. And a budget, I like to kind of look at it as like a personal employee. Like, again, you are the CEO and your budget is kind of like your VP. It is an employee. And what it's doing for you is it's just simply keeping you organized. We've kind of been lightly touching on that. But organization, when you are organized, that's a thing of beauty. And the great thing is there is no cost for this employee. It just takes a bit of time. It takes a bit of effort. And everything can be organized for you. Now, there are some apps out there and stuff like that for a very small fee, you can pay this quote-unquote employee. But from a business, perspective, to pay $50 a year or something like that, that's about the cheapest employee ever, and they do a great job of organizing. So, but let's look at the other things. Chezz, I'll let you take this, but if the whole logic chain starts out as no organization, zero organization, where's that going to lead to?
It's the equivalent of when we've spoken with people in the community, when they say, oh, I'm paper trading, but I'm paper trading in my brain. Obviously there's a bunch of red flags there because we like to remember things that work well a lot more than we like to remember things that don't work well, and vice versa. The kind of key for writing things down and keeping things, written down in front of you on paper or on a computer or on an app is that you keep yourself accountable. It's just like you said, $50 a year or something for that employee can really do wonders for you. And I understand that we have a lot of, listeners that come from all different age groups. But the thing that helped me the most actually was an app called Mint, and it doesn't cost anything. There is a paid version too. But what it does essentially is it tied into my checking account, my savings account, my trading account, and then my credit cards, everything. So everything is compiled into this one thing, and then it will intelligently organize your spending into different categories. And that opened my eyes up to a ton of things, like how much I had kind of misbudgeted my grocery shopping and how much I had overestimated my gas budget and things like that. And once you kind of have the hard data, and when I say hard data, I'm not just saying, oh, my phone bill is like about $60. How much is your phone bill? Is it $63.50?
Yeah, exactly.
Write that down.
About is not good. Yeah, good. Yeah. That got my adrenaline. About is a bad word. It's a cuss word in personal finances. If you're saying about, no bueno.
No, you need to have the hard figures, and obviously there's no way to accurately, completely forecast, say you're going to use a little more gas one month than the other. But the thing is, you have a baseline with some time and some actual data. A phone bill that's $63.50 is different than a phone bill that's $60. You may think, oh, that's $3.50, whatever, it's a cost of a Starbucks or something. That adds up month after month after month, and you'll be like, well, why is my savings, why am I not earning and why am I not saving as much as I could? Just because you didn't kind of calculate that extra $3.50. So there is no about. It's as black and white as it gets, and there's a lot of ways to do it. And the thing is, when Clay's originally talking about the budget, yes, you could totally do it on a spreadsheet, and you can do it manually, but I know that there's a lot of people out there that are unfortunately lazy, and I understand it. I've been there too. There are apps and kind of organizational tools that you can utilize for little or no cost at all that can help you really take a hard look at what's going in and what's going out.
Yeah, and just for reference sake, we are not an affiliate of Mint. But that sounds pretty sweet. I didn't realize that they went into your trading account and everything there. But what's funny is I have written down no organization equals guessing. And then that equals bad guesses. And that equals ouch. And Chezz totally hit that on the head with it. He said, yeah, so I was kind of just guessing about my groceries. And then when he actually got organized, holy crap, I was guessing, and those turned out to be bad guesses about my groceries. And he realized, he needed to do things. So get the employee. The employee is going to kick guessing to the curb, and then you're going to know exactly where your numbers are. And heck, Mint is free. So it's a free employee that sounds like it does an awesome job of organizing everything. And, the next thing here is just you get to start to make money while you sleep. Now, for you listening to this, maybe you're into trading. So this is kind of where personal finance may be a little bit biased towards you, but now all of a sudden, you can start to have extra money left over because when things are organized, when you're making the decisions, when you know what decisions to make, you're going to find that, oh, wow, I actually have some money left over this month. And that's where you as a trader, and this is why Chezz and I just don't feel much pity for people. Oh, I have such a small trading account. Oh, I don't make enough money. Just all woe is me. Then, well, what does your budget look like? Well, I don't have a budget. Well, you know what? Then what are you even doing? Why are you even trying to get into trading? Because this is how you can grow your trading account right here. Get organized with your personal finances, and odds are, I'm willing to bet that you're going to have some money left over. And guess what you can do with that leftover money? You can put it into your trading account. You can start to build up a trading account. Or, and this is just more so personal finance in general, is if I was just talking to you and knowing that you had no interest in trading, guess what that money can do? That leftover money can start to be put into investments. You can start to buy blue chip stocks with it. And that's where you start to sleep and make money, meaning while you're sleeping at night, that money is working for you. And it's growing over time. So get organized. Your money is just going to start to pop up, and you can start to put that money to work for you, whether that's through trading, whether that's through investing hands off, or maybe you want to get into real estate. The point here being is organization leads to all of a sudden you just have more money in your pocket. And this is probably my favorite attribute of all of the budget is the rainy day fund. Maybe you can relate to this, maybe you can't. If you can, I'm sure, but I mean, the car just breaks down. It's funny today. IT Nate, who's the producer of the show, he just hit me up on Skype. Oh crap, my furnace just went out. And right now at the time of this recording, it's December in Michigan. So, but I know Nate, he does, and I'm going to talk about the app that he uses, but he's got a budget in place, and I know he has a rainy day fund, and a rainy day fund is just one of those unexpected costs pop up, you're ready for them. And that's a huge stress reliever. Wouldn't you say, Chezz, that you can sleep easy at night knowing that if something crazy happens, you can pay for it?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, there's no way to kind of predict when that will happen, but there's a difference between not knowing when it'll happen and being prepared for it regardless. So yes, it's another way to just completely reduce that stress. Nate's not going to say, holy crap, I got to go get another job to pay for this furnace, or we're going to freeze for the next month. And, I don't know how I'm going to keep my kid warm and stuff like that. He's already prepared for it in advance so that when these setbacks do happen, and they do happen, it's just an unfortunate part of life, you're prepared for it. You don't have to worry about it, and it's no sweat off your back. Sure, it's a little bit of a setback in your fund, but at the same time, that was what the fund's purpose was the whole time.
And let's just get it straight up front. Yeah, it's going to be painful. Who wants to pay for unexpected crap of like, oh, I got to fix my furnace, or I got to fix my car, or I got to, of course it's painful. But is it stressful? No, it's not stressful at all, right? Because you had planned. You were organized for it. You had made the decision way back when to get organized for it. So when now it's happened, hey, painful, yes. Stressful, no. And what has allowed all this to happen? A personal budget. Getting all your numbers in order. So again, another huge benefit of the budget is you're going to be able to start to construct these rainy day funds. So when crap happens, you know what? Sure, it's not enjoyable, but you're going to be ready for it. And therefore, it's not going to be a massive stress or anything like that. The next part here is just, it's a great translator. And I say this just, now Chezz and I, we're not like Dr. Phil, but communication between male and female. I don't know if you've noticed, if you've in a relationship, I'm sure you kind of noticed that us guys and, them girls, we just think a little bit differently. Our minds are wired a little bit differently. But numbers are a universal language. Now, don't get me wrong. Sure, you may think numbers should do different things, but at its core, numbers are universal. They're just a universal language. It is what it is. So just from a more so a personal happiness, relationship, having a good relationship. Again, we're not dating experts, but hey, I don't need to be a dating expert to say that communication is key in any sort of relationship. Whether you're out on the sports field, whether you're in the classroom, whether you're anywhere at home with your anywhere. Communication is a key. And guys, girls think differently, but when it comes to numbers, it can make communication a whole lot easier and just create a healthier relationship. Another great benefit of a budget. I mean, Chezz is somewhat newly married now, but I mean, I will speak that it helps my wife and I, Abby, to just, hey, Clay, is that in the budget? Can we do this? Can we do that? And it makes things very streamlined because we don't have to sit there and be like, well, I can't believe you spent that. There's none of that because Can I buy that? I'll check the budget. Boom, done. I mean, have you found that too with you and Kelly? It makes communication easier, right?
It certainly does, and just tying back to what I said before, is it's black and white. The numbers don't lie. And Kelly and I have been together for a long time now, and we've been married just shy of 6 months at this point. But well before that, when we were living together, we had taken a hard look at everything we did, and one of the things I had done you really nailed it on the head when guys and girls just think differently. This isn't like we're not bashing on anyone saying one's better at it than the other. They just look at it differently. And a big thing for my wife, bless her heart, was she used to be, unfortunately, a victim of, oh, there's sales going on, we need to go shopping now. And now it has turned into, there's sales going on, what's on the list of things we're looking to purchase? Let's go see if they have any of that. If not, we're walking out empty-handed. And that was just a huge shift in kind of our outlook on purchasing things. And just like you and your wife, it's as simple as, are we budgeting for this? Is this something we need? Is this something that, we've already jotted down and know that, say we need, an end table or something for the couch, by no means do we have to have it tomorrow.
You are married an end table for the couch. All right. Yes.
Yeah. By no means is that imperative. We're not going to live or die if we don't have it. But at the same time, I'm not going to go out and spend an absorbent amount of money on it if I can find one for a sale, because it's not imperative at that very moment. But that was just a huge shift in ourselves and kind of our spending patterns.
See, and this was totally unintentional, but this is what I like about budgets is they can get pretty advanced. So it sounds like Chezz and Kelly have like a tiered system of what we want and what we need. And what we want, all right, we don't really need it, but we want it. So there's some money there, but that money that we have, sections off there via our budget is only willing, it's got to have some sort of sale. So when you truly get the budget, you can get pretty advanced like that. I mean, they're literally breaking things down between wants and needs, but then they know that a want has like a certain, level to it where like, yeah, we want it and we have money for it, but we don't want it enough to have to pay that amount of money for it. Let's get it on sale. And again, all these decisions can be made with confidence. They can be made with peace of mind because again, there's money budgeted there for it. There's money been set aside for each of these categories. Is that kind of, did I understand that right? You have kind of like your budget has morphed into, having needs and wants, and then even within the wants, you have different tiers and all that.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it with the tiers, and not to make this sound complicated because it's not, but it's almost like a list of priorities specifically. So what we like to do is whenever there's kind of a big ticket purchase thing or everything, when we moved to California, we had to buy a lot of new furniture because we didn't have much in Chicago because we lived in a much smaller place. So what the difference was, though, is now that we do have that stuff, we've already accumulated it over time. Now what I always kind of, resort back to is we're in the process of looking at purchasing land and building a home in the future. So what I always kind of bring up and what we all, is on the forefront of our minds is this money better spent on whatever we're looking to purchase, or is this money better spent going back into the land fund? And more times than not, once you take a hard look at what's important, and like I said, it's as simple as what is a priority, what are we trying to do? A lot of times, more often than not, we'll just say, we don't really need this, we'll just wait on it. And like you said before, we can find it on sale. There's always sales, last season's things, whatever it is, doesn't matter, especially with furniture and crap like that. But it's just as simple as a priority system. What is important? What is the long term? What do you actually want out of life, and where should you be placing your money? And it's just as simple as shed away the things that are small, take a hard look at things that you might just, naturally buy or just wouldn't think about it. The thing that used to drive me nuts is, I remember in high school, is stupid little things like every time I went to go get gas, I would go buy something in the gas station store, like an energy drink or a candy bar or something. I just think about how much money I must have wasted just inadvertently because of my brain with logic, it's only $2, it's only $5, it's only whatever. And that just, those little things are the things that'll add up and will really catch you.
Yeah, and by all means, Chezz and I are not like, get off my lawn saying you can never buy any of that stuff at a gas station. Again, we're just saying that when you have a budget, you're going to be able to look at that, say, all right, do I want to spend $5 on the gas station when that $5 could go towards this or that or the other? And you know what? If you say, no, compared to those things, I like the $5 at the gas station. That's totally cool. Go for it. But the key point of all this is the only way you're going to be able to make that comparison, the only way you're going to be able to answer that question of is it worth it compared to these other things is having a budget, because a budget is getting you organized. So again, by no means are we saying that buying coffee at Starbucks is bad. We're just saying that when you have a budget, you're going to be able to compare. All right, I'm spending, $15 a week at Starbucks, But if I put that $15 towards something else, or maybe only spend $5 so I can put $10 someplace else, do I feel like that's a better use of my money? And again, if you think, no, I want to spend $15, then hey, cool. At least you ran an analysis on it and figured it out. And when I use the word analysis, none of this is complicated. It's just like Chezz beautifully explained. Do I really want that? Is it really worth it? Or should we use the money someplace else? But you're never going to be able to do any of that unless you're organized, unless you have a plan, unless you have a goals, and unless you have the budget that, ties everything together. Now, this next one, I'm going to try not to rant, but a budget is also kind of like a radar. It's like you're looking for the weather, trying to forecast the weather. And that's what budgets do. It helps you forecast what may be coming. And really the biggest thing, and I'm going to try not to rant on this, the biggest forecasting thing that a budget could really help people with, especially the younger people, is what do I want to do when I grow up? Do I want to go to, some small school, pay $40,000 a year to get a job that's going to pay me $35,000 a year? So graduate with like $160,000 in debt for a $40,000 a year job. Now, right now that sounds pretty bad, but I promise you, if you have a budget in place, and again, the course that I'm talking about and using within the course, the cash flow creation course, I go through this very example, and we go through a bunch of different situations, and you can see the numbers in the budget, how they fluctuate based off of these decisions on where to go to college and what degree to get. And when you're looking at the numbers, and when you're looking at, wow, you mean within my budget, my monthly payment for my student loan is going to be that? Well, see you later, fun budget, or see you later, little fun portion of the budget. See you later, going to the movies, or, yeah. But without a budget, you're not going to be able to ever forecast any of this stuff. And forecasting is huge. If I buy this, another example, if I buy this car, how long is it going to take me to pay off? Am I okay with how long it's going to take me to pay off? If you are, that's fine. But at least you know how long it's going to make you pay off. In many instances, my guess is going to be, oh crap, it's going to take me that long to pay off. I'm going to pay that much interest on it. If I just go with that car, it is going to be less time, and I'm going to have more money to go on that Italy vacation. But without a budget, you're not going to be able to forecast any of those things. And I mean, and Chezz, it's kind of that we're evolving from Chezz's needs versus wants. That's what Chezz is essentially doing within that, is he's forecasting, do we really need this right now? I mean, if we do, but if we don't and we put money over here, then that's going to allow things to add up that much quicker. And, for their land fund. And it's just, I don't really know what else to say, but you got to be able to forecast stuff. And I taught this class to the youth group at my church, and the main thing I focus on, and why I keep going back to this, is please think when you're deciding to go to college. I assure you, look at the numbers. Paying $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year to go and get a degree that's going to pay you $35,000, $40,000 a year. Look at the budget. This is the numbers that you're going to have to live with. And it's not a pretty sight. You're going to be living now if you absolutely have to go to that school and you absolutely love that career, that's fine. But expectations need to meet with reality. You're going to be living on a very basic life. And there's nothing wrong with a very basic life. But if you can forecast, then you know what? You could have just went to a different school and maybe got the same degree. But just by going to a different school with the same degree, you could be living, you'd be making a lot more money because that student loan payment is just, a lot less. So, Chezz, you got anything to add? I could rant about the forecasting thing because people, especially the youth, when they're going to college, they really set themselves back. But I mean, do you have any thoughts, comments, suggestions?
Yeah, you touched on 2 points specifically that I wanted to get to, so I'm glad to kind of segue into it. So first off was, just like you said, imagine you can get a degree in many places, and obviously some schools have more prestige and whatever than that. If that's you've been set on it for years and this is where you have to go, then that's your prerogative. But just understand in advance what's going out and what's coming in. Now, at the same time, for people to understand, if you reduce that student loan from $30,000 a year to $15,000 a year, you've literally doubled the amount of money that is coming to you versus going out, and that's just a huge thing, and it can definitely kind of impact your life and give you a jump start on things. But obviously, I personally chose where I went to college because I wanted to move out of the house, and that was unfortunate. And unfortunately, it took me a year to figure it out. But I did figure it out and kind of reduced my bill by a good amount, pretty much shifting schools. Now, a second point I want to touch on that I think is absolutely key, especially to you younger listeners out there, and that doesn't, younger includes college or just out of college. The biggest setback for me financially in my life was not just kind of having, student loans and things like that, but it was once you get a job, you just see this sparkly new paycheck and you think, wow, I've waited so long of my life to kind of finally have some money, and now I can just kind of throw it around. And I mean, when I got my first job, I was working in the city at this big high-rise in a suit and tie. And I'm not kidding you, 3 to 4 times a week, me and my coworkers would go out and we're spending it up, buying drinks, buying food, going out to lunches and things. And I never understood, how much it took me too many years to figure out that I was just shelling my money away on things that really weren't that important. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying, be a hermit in your house and never go out and never do things, but do it in moderation. You need to be looking a little bit more forward, because for me, that shock of having this large new paycheck, I was just like, ooh, this money is mine. I'm buying new computer parts, a new TV, all this crap. And it's a shock of having an increased cash flow. But if you start and you learn this early, and I'm so glad you kind of talked to your youth group about it.
You probably weren't using a budget at this point in time, right?
Not budget was the last thing I probably cut it out of the dictionary at that point in my life.
Okay, so it's like you were at this point, you were oblivious to it, right? I mean, you were just spending, right? I mean, you were just
spending. The money is coming in.
Because you had no organization. There was no organization, aka the budget.
Not a thing at all. And the thing is that like we talked about Nate's water heater going out or whatever it was. For me personally, that job that I thought I would be in for 10 years, and I'm going to get these amount of, thinking about how much my increase is going to be, my salary raise per year, and I'm just thinking, ooh, I can buy more stuff as the years go on. That company ended up downsizing, and I actually got let go. And, that was something I wasn't really prepared for. My rainy day fund was extremely small, and that was pretty much the basis of whatever I had left in my checkings and my savings account. And that, that was something I could have been much better prepared for. I could have had a much easier time transitioning instead of scrambling to find the next job. And, it's not that I took, I'm not saying that the next job I took was worse than the one I had, but there are situations where, I know people who have their doctorates or have whatever, and, they're bogged down in debt from school specifically, that are applying to work at things like a Jimmy John's. Imagine somebody who is extremely qualified to do a lot of things, but if, say, they get let off of a job unexpectedly, they now have to make ends meet because they have a lot of bills. They have a lot of student debts. They have, a mortgage or whatever else it is. If you're not, you can be better prepared for it. And I think the thing is that I wish somebody, when I was growing up, not to say that my dad didn't try because I was just a bad kid and didn't listen very well. I wish somebody in my youth group or somebody that, I just would have listened or sat me down and said, look, start doing this early and you will be so much further ahead than, kids your age. And I don't log into Facebook often at all, maybe once a month to keep up with family that lives abroad or lives somewhere else, but I still see kids that I went to high school with. And keep in mind, for context here, high school for me was 10 years ago, still living with mom and dad, not going anywhere, just not making any progress. And that's just, you want to talk about another source of stress and kind of complacency. When we grow up and as we get older, we want to be independent. It's just a natural thing, and that goes for guys, girls, and whoever. And if you don't take the necessary steps, if you don't make a plan, if you don't actually kind of at least analyze what's going out and what's coming in, you're just really going to have a hard time getting ahead with, just guesstimating. Guesstimating it could drive me absolutely nuts, and it was such an eye-opener for me to kind of really take a hard look.
Yeah, no, and thank you for sharing that, because that's, for me, I'm not patting myself on the back here, but I don't know. I'm just a cheapskate by nature. I guess it just runs in my family. So I was always kind of aware of things. And all right, if I'm spending this much, maybe I need to just do something to make it. So, but when you're young, it's just, and even sometimes for the older people, they're not quite organized. But when you are organized, it just opens up a whole world of things. And this is, again, going back to, maybe you are living at home with your parents still, and I just can't get ahead. I can't get ahead. Well, by no means are Chezz and I suggesting that these steps that you need to take require some sort of degree in finance or economics or mathematics, or there is no PhD needed at all. It's just, hey, take a little initiative, put some time and effort into a budget, whether it's a spreadsheet, whether it's mint.com, which for free, I'm sorry, but now the excuses are really running low for people on why they can't, kind of take control of things. I mean, it's right there. It's at your fingertips. Take a look at the numbers. And Chezz and I have gone over this multiple times before. When you're looking at your numbers, you know what? Wow, yeah, I'm coming up short. I want to do that. I'm coming up short. At least you're coming up short. So go get another job. Pick up some sort of, part-time job. There is no shame in that at all, especially to, turn this back into trading a little bit more. If you have a smaller account and you want to grow it and you are got to go pick up a part-time job, by no means am I or anybody in the community be like, what a loser. You mean you can't make all that money by trading? You got to go pick up a part. No, and maybe we're bizarre. Maybe our community is a little weird, but you will get applauded and say, I respect you 10 times more for going out and delivering pizzas or for going out and mowing some people's lawns. I don't care if you're 40 years old. I would respect a 40-year-old or 50-year-old that's out mowing lawns or delivering pizzas 100 times more than the 40, 50-year-old. I can't do it. Life's rigged against me. I just can't get ahead. Well, what's your budget, sir? Oh, well, I don't have a budget. Are you working? No. I mean, which one would you respect more, Chezz? Because I'm starting to get irritated over here. I have a college degree, and I was driving for Uber and Lyft. And to think, when I first thought of this, I said, I can't believe I went to college and I'm now going to be a cab driver. Now that I look back at it, that was one of the best things I ever did to kind of supplement my income and really kind of help me at least have that steady income flow. And this relates specifically to me kind of endeavoring in trading. I had some money sitting aside from my other job, and I thought, I'm just going to go full time. And that was a dumb thing, and I never recommend that to anybody. You got to ease into it. And getting that part-time job was such a reliever. And I, just like you said, I respect people so much more who are able to realize, the excuses just drive us up the wall. So first off is when people say they don't have enough time. That's a load of crap. It's all about how you use your time. The second one is, just to tie into the example of somebody I saw on Facebook, they live at home, and like you said, they have no budget. By no means is living at home a bad thing. In fact, if you can do that to save money when you're making bigger moves in life, yes,
do it for as long as you can, because honestly,
that's free cash flow.
Free cash flow. But at the same time, if you're living at home and you're going out to eat every night and you're going drinking a couple times a week, this is you are not taking advantage of the opportunity you have, and you're a lazy bum.
You are a leech on society. And I'm not trying to get this political, but that's what you are, okay? Now, because Chezz made the perfect distinction. If you're living at home because you have a goal, you have a plan, you have a budget in place, and you understand that living at home is going to get you there quicker, awesome. I applaud you. There's nothing wrong with living at home. But context is king. But if you're living at home doing what Chezz just described, then sorry, you're a leech on society, and you're a leech on your parents, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And I'll just leave it at that, but perfectly said, Chezz, because living at home, you need a little bit more context for that, and you just totally nailed the context. And I was going to talk about something else, but man, you got my adrenaline flowing. Oh, yeah, and back to Chezz's point. We're not, and I made this point again, but we're not suggesting you go and get a college degree to get control of your life. As anticlimactic as it is, and it's very anticlimactic when you actually sit down and do it, you're like, oh, wait, this is it? Taking control of your life, put it together a budget. It's going to do wonders for you, I promise, because you're going to feel in control. You're going to be organized, and you're going to actually set plans that aren't just some magical thing. And on top of that, this is a good segue. Having a budget allows you to be a magician. And for you longtime listeners out there, you've heard this quote many times before, and I quizzed you on it not that long ago, Chezz, and I hope you get it right this time. But what is my favorite quote when it comes to personal finance?
I could botch it again, but now that I know what it actually is and remember it, it's a penny saved is a penny earned.
Do you remember who says that?
Mr. B. Franklin himself.
Benjamin Franklin. Stop and think about that. A penny saved is a penny earned. What does that have to do with a magician? When you have a budget, you can literally create cash out of thin air. How do you do that? Well, when you're looking at your budget, when your numbers are defined, when you know how much money's coming in, how much money's going out, where that money's going out to, you can look there and be like, do I really need to spend $50 on coffee every week? I like my coffee, cool, but I'm going to spend $25 on it. So what did you just do? Well, you saved, you were spending 50, and now here we go. I'm not trying to insult your intelligence, but this goes back to the whole point way back when about this math is not complicated. The math is not an excuse. You were spending 50, now you're only spending 25. What did you just do? How much money did you just save? You just saved $25. So a penny saved is a penny earned. What does that do as far as your budget is concerned? Well, now you have $25 more in your pocket. You didn't do anything. You did not go get another job. You did not work more hours at your current job. You did not have to work overtime. But all of a sudden, you have $25 more. And all you did was you looked at your budget. So sure, you had to put together a budget. But besides that, by saving that $25, you literally have $25 more in your pocket that you need to now determine, what do I want to put that $25 towards? Do I want to put that towards this? Do I want to put it towards that? Do I want to put it towards that saving fund? Maybe I should put some of that in my rainy day fund. I hope we're doing a good job of conveying the power of a budget. I mean, talk about having total control. Now we're talking about creating money out of thin air. I mean, isn't that a mind-boggling concept, Chezz, that once you have a budget, once you have a plan, once you're organized, you can literally create money out of thin air?
It is. And by no means are we telling you guys that, the good things in life you can't have anymore or expect. So I love my coffee. And like I said, I used to unfortunately spend money every day getting it. Instead, I make my coffee at home exactly how I like it now. I get the beans I want, make it exactly how I want it. And a real hard look that I took was that everybody I worked with at the time went out to lunch every day. I don't care if it was for convenience. In all honesty, it's because everyone was too lazy to kind of make their lunch. I did the math on what I'm spending per
I
lunch,
love it.
And that
did the math.
Yeah, it was pretty much between $10 to $12.50, pretty much a lunch, and that, like I said, it's just an estimate because it changes where you go or whatever. And granted, I lived in an area with high tax, and we're not going to go down that route. That's a whole nother point. But what I did is after I took a hard look at that, and I did the math on what the groceries would be for the week, cooking it and bringing it to work, and I cut that cost by half or a little bit more. I think my meals, like per meal, from instead of $10 to $12 came down to like $4.50. And I mean, I did like the hard math on it, like per ounce and stuff like that. And it was just as simple as math. And like you said, I didn't do any changes. I didn't get any additional income streams. All I did was find a way to pretty much, I saved myself. I made money come out of thin air by just doing one simple thing. And, like I said, I still go out to eat once a week. That's a thing that me and my wife do, and it's just kind of the enjoyment things of life. But I don't have to do it 7 days a week.
For it, right? You have it budgeted for it. There you go.
And I mean, I just drop the mic. Just end the podcast here. Goodbye.
Yeah. See, no, but I cut him off, and then, but point here is, when you save money, you're literally making it, but you don't know how to save money. You don't know what to save unless you have a budget that's sitting there saying, hey, moron, look at all this money you're spending on this. Do you really need to spend this amount of money on that? Again, go have fun. Enjoy life. There's no point in any of this unless you can have fun with life. But does it really cost that much to enjoy life? Why can't you just go and spend that money over there? I mean...
Enjoying life shouldn't be a stressful event for you. And if you have a properly planned budget, those things in life aren't going to be like, this vacation that I put on my credit card, now I'm going to have to work and pay it off and the interest on it for the next 6 months. And those things that you enjoy in life shouldn't be a cause of stress. So a little example here is that we had one of our cars here was 12 years old, and we had budgeted for over a year now easily, just setting money aside in literally a car fund and purchasing this new car, one of the bigger expenses we've ever had in our life. I don't lose any sleep over it because I planned for it. It was simple math and knowing that this is what's feasible for us, this is what isn't. I would love, by all means, I would love to go buy a Tesla P100D and $110,000 car. But that's just not in the cards, and I don't need that, and I understand that, and we got something much more reasonable. But, I had planned for it. It wasn't a cause of stress. So
now you said something, but it's not in the cards. I realized that was just it flowed beautifully off his tongue. It was just part of his statement. But the point of this whole podcast is he knows that it's not in the cards. How does he not know it's in the cards? How is he defining not in the cards? Because he has a freaking budget, because he's organized, because he is CEO of his life, because he is CEO of his finances. I get it. That sounded great. It's not in the cards. That's a great soundbite. But when you break it down, ask yourself right now, do you know what's in the cards for you and what's not? And none of this, well, I think it is. I don't know. Sorry, then you don't know. It's not in the cards for you. Maybe it is. Who knows? Let's flip it around. Maybe you've always thought, that's not in the cards for me. But it very well could be if you look at a freaking budget and take control of things. Maybe you're cutting yourself short for all we know. I mean, I guess really we'll always look at it as, no, that's not going to happen. It's not possible. Maybe you think something's not possible, but it actually is. And so sorry to cut you off, but yeah, not in the cards. Do you know how to define that? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Go for it, Chezz. Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's fine. And by no means, I still have aspirations and I plan to buy a Tesla in the future. It's just at this point in my life. And, in California, and this is not knocking California, you'll find this anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. I worked with, and know people who are both house poor, car poor, and the amount, I mean, we touched on it right in the beginning. It is not worth the stress of that. And the thing is, I started to realize that I don't need to impress anybody. I like to enjoy my life, and I know what I like, and I know what I think is good and stuff like that, and what's of value to me. And it's not worth the stress. I could have bought a Tesla. We could have bought a Tesla. Okay. But do I want to shell out, half of my income per month to just make payments on it? That just seems absolutely insane. How am I going to get anywhere? Cool, I'll have this fancy car. And what will be the result of that? I'll be living in an apartment until I'm, 55 years old, wondering where the hell all my money went. So it's not that I'm not telling you to shoot high.
Yeah.
I'm not telling anyone not to shoot high, but at the same time, you need to take steps in that direction. And if you don't have a budget, if you don't know, pretty much it's simple math, like we just keep hammering on. It doesn't have to be anything complex. I know what a car payment would have been on a Tesla. I also know what a car payment is on my car, and I also know how I'm going to pay it off extremely fast and not have to worry about APR and crap like that. Don't give your money away to things like fees and all this other crap, because that's another thing that just drives me absolutely wild. And in fact, when I used Mint especially, I'm still kind of combining accounts because there's name changes and stuff going on with the wedding for us. The thing is that, so with Mint especially, you can actually set it to give you alerts via email if you've had a finance charge or something like that. And those are my favorite alerts ever, because sometimes I found out that one of the cards I had actually charged a yearly fee, and I kind of called them and gave them a little bit of grief and got that kind of, pretty much taken off of my account. And now, I know what to look for when I'm doing things like that. But fees, interest payments, all this kind of stuff, while it is a necessary evil, especially if you don't have the money to buy something, this should make you take a hard look at something. You need to kind of factor that stuff in. Are you willing to just give 15% of your money to the credit card company per month because you, unfortunately, made the mistake of, maxing out your credit card? And now you're going to literally be giving away more money per month than you had spent just for the luxury of borrowing it. So these are just things you need to keep the stuff in mind, because I'm telling you, and I'm not, when I talk to you about doing the pretty much almost how much my daily lunches and dinners cost, you don't have to do it by the ounce by any means, but you have planned for something. And if you're planning on borrowing money, especially via a credit card, which is an unfortunate reality that a lot of people live in, is just credit card debt up the wazoo, you need to factor in that you are literally setting 15% of that bill every month on fire for the ability to have kind of rented it from them. So they're going to get their money no matter what, and they really kind of take advantage of it. Keep that in mind, though. These are little things. All that little money you save, like Benjamin Franklin said, a penny that you can save is a penny that you've essentially earned.
Yeah, and it's like I said, as soon as you save money, as soon as you say, $50 down to 25, as far as your budget's concerned, I realize it's kind of goofy because, wait, how can you say that I have $25 more in my pocket? I didn't work any longer at work. But as far as the numbers are concerned and the way a budget program is going to work, it's going to say, well, excuse me, sir, excuse me, ma'am, you now have $25 that you need to, deploy somewhere. You need to distribute to some other place in the budget. And like I said, you're still sitting there in your underwear. What are you talking about? I didn't go to work, and I all of a sudden have $25 more. And that's just the beauty of it. And then the final thing that is not in the presentation, but Chezz just kind of dawned on me is, when you have a budget, it kind of gets you it gets you competitive, and competitive in a good way where, Chezz and I, we're not saying that you have to figure out your food down to the ounce, but, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chezz, he saw the budget, he saw the numbers, he had plans, he had ambitions to get somewhere. So how can I get there best? How can I get there most efficiently? And when you start to see stuff, it gets that competitive juices going. Even if you're not a competitor, even if you're saying, well, I'm not really competitive by nature, I assure you, if you have a goal that you're passionate about, then you're going to want to start to, when you're looking at the numbers, you're going to start to play the game. Well, what if I do that? What if I do that over there? How am I going to get there the quickest? And how am I going to get there the quickest? That's just translation. How can I be more efficient with my money? And a budget is going to prompt that. It's going to start to kind of breed competitiveness because you're going to want to get to your goals faster. Hey, that's just human nature. But in this case, that's actually really good because it's going to try to force you to be as efficient as possible. And if that means figuring out your food down to the ounce per cost, maybe that sounds terrible, but don't judge so quickly, because once you get a budget in a place and once you have those goals, then you're going to start to play those same games, saying, well, looking at these numbers, what can I do? Sometimes it's going to be, well, I can save some money here. Other times, maybe it's going to motivate you. You know what? If I just delivered pizzas 2 nights a week, then I can get there 3 months quicker. And all of a sudden, when you're out there delivering those pizzas, think about that. Delivering pizzas, knowing that you're going to accomplish something 3 months faster, that's going to be 10 times better than Chezz's example of driving around in his Tesla thinking, holy crap, in order to do this, it's half of our income per month, and I'm going to be in this apartment for the next 40 years. I mean, which sounds better? Delivering pizzas and a rankety old car, knowing you're going to get someplace better in 3 months quicker, or driving around in some fancy car, but knowing that you're going to be stuck spinning in the mud as far as your personal finances are for the next 40 years. I mean, to me, one is a lot more motivating than the other, but you don't get to that spot unless you had a freaking budget in the first place. So, I mean, do you have anything more to add? I mean, we've gone on. We got to wrap this up. And anything more to add? I think we've persuaded people to at least consider starting a budget and getting serious about a budget.
And I just want to hammer on it again. It's practical things. A great example for me is once I changed kind of job positions and, I work from home now, I reduced my cell phone bill from $90, and I guess my dog's happy about it too, from $90 a month, which I just thought was a necessary evil at the time, to, $30 to $40. So I've saved that money because I know I work from home. I'm on Wi-Fi all the time. I don't need all this data that I had. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there because obviously my dog says, feed me some of this budget food. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. The one that suffers in Chezz's, budget is a Pongo, their dog. The Pongo's got to go chase rabbits in order to get fed. That's a total joke if you're an animal lover. That's not true at all. So,
totally kidding.
But now I realized, full disclosure, yeah, we've talked about broad things. We've talked about how great a budget are, but we haven't really talked about anything practical in terms of how you do it, what you need to do, all those nitty-gritty details. Now, if you're interested, like I said, I have a $29 course, and that will walk you through. It'll give you the spreadsheets that I use. It'll give you all the stuff in, like I said, the nitty-gritty details, how to implement it, how to do it, how to become a CEO of your life, how to be the boss of your finances. So if you're interested in that, that's fine. If you're not, $29, no. I'll give you this promise, though. If you take the course, you will be able to pay for it via savings. If you take the course and you apply what I talk about, you will pay for the course via the savings you make. Penny saved is a penny earned. So pretty much I am sitting here saying you will find $29 that you can save in your budget if you do what I'm saying. So sure, $29 may sound like a lot. I mean, but regardless, if you don't, that's fine. There's tons of stuff out there. I don't care if you use my stuff or somebody else's, but just get a budget. Start to do a
something.
Budget.
Take some steps.
Yeah, do something and put it in place. Like I said, mint.com, totally free. It's no excuses there. I realize, your course is $29. I'm not going to pay you. You're a little scam artist, I'm not. Okay, fine. Then don't pay me. What are you going to say about Mint? They're totally free. Now, does Mint tell you how to do things, Chezz, or is it just kind of there?
They have some kind of instructional stuff to try to guide people who have just are brand new to it. But yeah, honestly, I actually bought the cash flow creation guide, and I'm not trying to pump it or anything. There's many ways you can kind of get this done. But that's what opened me up to kind of doing all the food budgeting and kind of really taking a hard look. So it's paid for itself many times over for me.
Yeah, and so whether you want that or something else, but Mint.com, I also wanted to talk about another app that I believe is like $50, and that is called YNAB, and it's youneedabudget.com. We'll put all these into the show notes so you can go and check these out. But again, this is what IT Nate uses. He absolutely loves it. I'm looking at their front page right now. It looks like they have a free 34-day free trial. I don't know where they're getting 34 days from, but regardless, all these apps are great. Like I said, the $29 course that I offer comes with the spreadsheets and stuff that I use as a budget. And of course, I walk you through how to do all the budgeting with my spreadsheets and all that. But there's no excuses. There's plenty of tools out there, and they will walk you through exactly how to do all this stuff. So hopefully, Chezz and I motivated you to, like I said, this, whether or not you ever trade, this stuff is like real. This is like real life here. This is stuff that can change your life if you start to get, on top of it. And I just want to end with this. And I'm not patting myself on the back. I am going to pat this kid on the back. Do you have anything more to say, Chezz? Or are you good?
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right. So thank you again to Chezz for sharing his experience and all that, and we do a good job of getting each other's adrenaline going. But to end on this, to pat this kid on the back. He's 19. He didn't go to college, and he's just doing construction. Fantastic. He's in the trades. I talked to him 5 months ago, and I said, hey, David is his name. I said, I'd love to talk to you about investing. And I started, say, you want to make the money work for you because he's still living at home. And yeah. So, because they were doing some work on my house. He works for my brother-in-law. So I sat down and we went over stuff, and I kind of just mapped out some different things for him, and then I started to show the numbers. Look, man, you're 19. If you start to put aside this amount of money or that amount of money, 40 years from now, that's going to be worth that amount. And the numbers were in the millions of dollars. And again, that's a fact. That's the power of compounding interest. If you don't believe me, that's fine. Google compounding interest and start to look at some of these calculators. So that's why the sooner you start, the better. And then I just recently saw David, and I said, hey, man, how you doing? Because I helped him get an IRA set up, and I'm doing good. And said, hey, have you made any investments? Because I helped him buy Pepsi. That was his first one because I had to walk him through the app and all that. So he bought Pepsi in his IRA. Oh, yeah. I got like $2,500 in my IRA. $2,500? What? You're 19 years old. What? And you already got $2,500 in your retirement account? Think about how goofy does that sound? Some 19-year-old with $2,500 in his retirement account?
That's amazing.
Do you know how much money he's going to be worth? And he's like, well, I'm living at home, so I figured I want to try to max this out, which is like, I think $5,500 a year. So I'm doing $500 a month. And and I'm not patting myself on the back here, but because he's the one that listened, but that's the power of a budget. I mean, he has a budget. He was telling me I almost started crying. He was like, well, when I was looking at my budget, I'm like, oh wow, if I do $500 a month, that's just like 1 week's kind of paycheck a little bit. And he had all the numbers down. You could tell he was totally at ease with it. And now he's saving up he wants to try to build a house on some land. So he's saving up for that, but he's also putting $500 a month aside for retirement. And, it all comes from a budget. It doesn't come from me. I'm not trying to sit here and claim that I had anything to do with this. My point here is he took a budget, and now the budget is allowing him to have already $2,500 at age 19 for retirement. And, power of compounding interest. You start to, extrapolate those numbers out. He'll be retiring a millionaire. It's not if he'll be retiring a millionaire. It's just how many millions is he going to have? And that's just a mathematical fact. So point being, whether you're 19, whether you're 29, whether you're 39, whether you're 49, whether you're 59, get a budget, and it's going to open up all sorts of doors. And just give it a try. That's all Chezz and I are asking. Give it a serious try. Use Mint. Use You Need a Budget. Pick up the $29 course that I offer. Just use one of those things. Give it a try, a serious try, and I guarantee you're going to start to be like, oh, wow. You're going to feel in control. You're going to feel confident. And when you feel in control, when you feel confident, when you feel organized, you're not going to have stress. And that is the name of the game. So, wow, we could keep going, but
I know.
Thank you for.
We've already gone this long. Honestly, we could go on this for hours and hours, but we hope that at least you've gotten some information and a good starting point to just at least take a hard look and make some steps. Because honestly, life changing doesn't even begin to kind of hold a candle to what it did for our lives here. So yeah, it's absolutely life changing.
Yeah, and life changing in the sense of not he's driving around in his Lamborghini. Life changing in the sense of he has control. He has confidence. He has a plan. in his future because all his numbers are now in order. So, and that doesn't sound that's got to sound life-changing. So give it a try. That's your point. So thank you for all you listeners out there. A few final things before we go. If you're listening on YouTube, then check out the rest of the channel. A lot of other cool videos, and hopefully you ultimately decide to subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on the website itself, click that like button, click the share button, and you can leave us a comment below. We will read those. And then finally, if you're listening on iTunes or any of the other podcast players, then please leave us a rating, especially on iTunes. That really helps us out, helps out with our rankings itself, and just gets the word out there more and more. So that's vastly appreciated. And like I said, it just helps us out. And then really let us know what you think, whether it's through email, through social media. Best place would be to go to the show notes and then leave us a comment below. I mean, was this helpful? Would you like us to maybe do some more kind of personal finance type episodes? Or do you just want us to stick with trading? Feedback is welcome. Chezz and I, we listen to feedback. We never make a promise that we'll actually take the feedback and use it, but we'll listen to it and consider it for sure. So leave us your thoughts. Was this beneficial? Did Chezz and I just sound like a couple of rambling idiots? I mean, as long as it's constructive criticism, that's fine. But if a comment of you guys are idiots, well, that doesn't tell us anything. So constructive criticism is definitely always welcome. We're not opposed to doing more and more of things like this. But if you want us to just stick with trade or interviewing other traders and talking trading, then we will do that. So thanks again for listening. We will see you back with the next week's episode.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the Clay Trader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit claytrader.com.